Coming to shoot me down. So I shot him. And that's what Stuart Rhodes talked about last night with us. We're going to play 10 minutes from InfoWars Nightly News coming up later in the hour, where Stuart Rhodes has never talked like this. He said, we're basically 2 minutes to midnight, 1774, 1775. And this is what Alexander Solzhenitsyn talked about when the NKVD, the domestic KGB, in this case it was Leningrad, had arrested about half the city in a year, raping women, killing children, and people would just wait in their houses shivering to be picked up next by a few thousand secret police. And Solzhenitsyn got picked up by him and lived decades in a slave camp near the Arctic Circle, and he talked later how they burned with anger that they hadn't waited with hatchets and pokers and knives down in the basement, down in the entryway when the secret police came, because the whole organ of the state would have ground to a halt in minutes if they would have taken action. I'm not saying that's the case, but the system is planning to basically come after people, just like in the Bob Marley song where Sheriff John Brown comes down the road to shoot him, and Sheriff John Brown's pulling his gun. What are you going to do? And the globalists know what they're doing. They've got actuaries, psychological profiles. They've trained the military and police, prepare for war with libertarians and conservatives, and they're going to even provocateur it if they have to. Stage events and then send the military and police in against people who are going to then fight back, and it's going to be horrible. And it's not good for the domestic security forces that have been maneuvered into this position, and it's not good for the American people. We need to bring the banksters to justice. There's only a couple hundred of them. They've all committed crimes publicly. They run the New World Order. All right, I'm going to go to Watson for this segment and part of the next, and he'll be gone soon because he's working on a big report. He joins us from England. We do have Max Kaiser on the latest on the economy in the last 30 minutes. Presidential candidate Gary Johnson, Republican, is going to be joining us as well. But right now, let's go to Paul Watson. Paul Watson has the headline, Chinese general threatens third world war to protect Iran. That was an earlier variant of the report. There's also professors and other officials saying it. Here's another one. Chinese government official. U.S. threat to Pakistan is threat to China. We've seen Russian saber rattling, moving ships into the Mediterranean up against Syria, blocking routes for NATO in to Afghanistan. Pakistan doing the same thing. I mean, it's like General Hamid Gul said yesterday, former head of Pakistani intelligence. It's as if the people running America want to destroy us. And that is the plan. Let's go to Paul Watson. Paul Watson, break down. Your wife lives in England, lived there many years, but she is from China, speaks fluent Chinese, and she helped you go through the Chinese national news with what they're saying right now. And this is not getting any attention in the U.S. This is breaking news. Tell us about these key reports by Paul Joseph Watson and Ihan.
Well, Alex, the first report was Chinese general threatens third world war to protect Iran, and that's a quote, third world war. And it turns out that this guy is not only a professor, he's also a highly decorated general. He's won prestigious awards. He's been an advisor on top Chinese military panels. He's also a key military expert for Chinese state media. And he basically came out and said that, quote, China will not hesitate to protect Iran even with a third world war. And that was discussed by other people in the Chinese media. And then we had a separate report which we found in the Chinese media, which was not in the English language media, so it's an English language media exclusive, which is out of China's central television, and it's actually the website Junshijia, which reports that, and that's a military news website which is well respected in China for talking about military developments. And this is a separate unnamed government official who said, quote, any threat to Pakistan is a threat to China. And it turns out that in response to US troops massing on the border of Pakistan, of course, on Sunday we had the NATO bombing on Pakistan troops. In response to those US troops massing, China, in a massive war game that only just finished a few days ago, sent their second artillery PLA troops armed with these sophisticated tactical defense missiles to northwestern China, just outside the border with Pakistan, and had this massive joint war game with the Pakistani military. So we'll get further into it after the break.
Yeah, stay there. So you got national Chinese television, the top military advisor, former general. And see how prisonplanet.com takes a headline the mainstream media would have top Chinese general threatens nuclear war. But we always hold back. By the time we're done with it, it's Chinese government official. U.S. threat to Pakistan is threat to China. We'll be right back. But going back, there's two articles to be clear. Chinese government official, U.S. threat to Pakistan is threat to China. And the other one, Chinese government official, got that double printed. And the second article, Chinese general threatens world war to protect Iran or Pakistan. They're also saying that. So those articles are linked in red at Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. This is exclusive. This article is the first one translated into English. We have links to it. It's by Paul Joseph Watson and Ehan. Now, Paul Watson, you've got the floor. Break it down.
Well, the first article was a Chinese general, and he's called Zhang Jiaozhong, and he's a well-respected, well-known naval general. He's in the military, and he's also an analyst for TV. He's received numerous awards, and you can go and watch the video. There's subtitles on it in English, and he says, quote, China will not hesitate to protect Iran, even with a third world war. So that came out this morning, and as I noted in that article, China's talking about Iran. We've just had the latest naval update map, which shows you where the aircraft carriers are going. And the USS Carl Vinson aircraft carrier, which is the same one that Bin Laden's body was supposedly aboard, has just deployed from the United States, and it's going to join the US Fifth Fleet. It's going to join the Stennis immediately outside the territorial waters of Iran. So two massive warships, not just two actually. NBC reports that it's going to be accompanied by a guided missile cruiser, the USS Bunker Hill, and a guided missile destroyer, the USS Halsey. So you've got 3 US warships heading for Iranian territorial waters. So that was the first report about Iran. The second report was from a Chinese news website called Junshijia, and that cited a report by China's Central Television where this unnamed government official said, quote, any threat to Pakistan is a threat to China. And he said that in response to the fact that US troops, of course, already in Afghanistan, are massing on the border of Pakistan. China sees that as an act of aggression because it's obviously got a very close alliance with Pakistan. In fact, in China, they describe it as a, quote, brotherhood. And in a quote from this article is, quote, China will never be in peace if Pakistan is lost. So they obviously think that the United States is about to attack Pakistan. They've got troops massing on the border. They've just had a massive joint military exercise with Pakistan, which included the latest, most sophisticated Chinese tactical missiles. That took place on the border of Pakistan. And now they're saying, of course, in the aftermath of the NATO bombing, which killed the Pakistan soldiers, if America attacks Pakistan, then they're going to be ready because they're already having war games based around that premise. So we've got a major escalation in hostilities. Obviously, we've got the Syria situation ongoing, which, of course, China and Russia have said they're not going to support a UN mandate for a humanitarian intervention. You've got Russian warships now in Syrian territorial waters. You've got the Russians giving Syria anti-aircraft missile technology. So I've never seen the rhetoric so heated as it has been for the past few weeks. Syria, Iran, Pakistan, it's all coming to a head.
And notice now, Paul, all of this is happening just as we said it would. And Salente and countless others, Paul Craig Roberts, get standard during a big globalist move to go ahead and implode the economy and then launch a war on top of that. And they've already launched proxy al-Qaeda forces all over the world. They're running their proxy armies right up to the borders of China, right up to the borders of Russia. They know they're already getting ready to have proxy groups in those breakaway republics and other demilitarized zones like South Ossetia and Abkhazia. I mean, this is really the banksters going for the world while they suck America dry and destroy our name in the process of having us do their dirty work. I mean, it's really happening. And what's scary is the globalists are insane. I mean, they're masterminds. They've carried this out. They've had the will to do it. They've had the foresight. But at the same time, you catch them making 20 to 1, 40 to 1, 100 to 1 bets at MF Global and at other big firms like Goldman Sachs. I mean, these really are people who think they're invincible, or in their own words, even if they aren't invincible, they're still going to try it. And they've got our military under their control, and they're so brazen. Same thing in England. They're coming out saying there as well, we'll arrest citizens and disappear you whenever we want. We'll do the same thing here. We'll torture. I mean, it's all the same propaganda. They are just putting forward a face of pure authoritarianism worldwide. I'm not saying China or Russia are good either. The point is they're not the ones just totally taking over. And then you find out the very same elite that are doing this are heavily invested in China and are playing some weird double game, and maybe they do want to destroy the U.S. Maybe we're not meant to come out of this, you see. This is very sophisticated, Paul. What do you think's going on here?
Well, there's I mean, in China, there's this worship of anyone in a position of authority, and if you think it's bad in America, then it's even worse in China. So a lot of the Chinese elite think they're in bed with the Anglo-American elite, so they think they're all on the same team. But obviously, people in certain positions of power have got different ideas, and I presume that a lot of those people are in the Chinese military. But there's also an addendum, which is the fact we were talking about Iran. China's ambassador actually went to the UN, and not to the UN, to the IAEA. This is China's ambassador to the UN, who is a Japanese fellow called Yukio Amano. He's at the IAEA. And the Chinese ambassador basically said, look, don't produce any fake evidence to justify an attack on Iran, because we're going to out it. He said, don't produce any unfounded evidence on Iran, because we're going to oppose it. So they're even aware of the fact that they could be waiting to stage some fake evidence to go in there regarding their nuclear
Well, let's
program.
not forget that almost 5 years ago, Ray McGovern said that he thought they'd probably stage a new Gulf of Tonkin in the Persian Gulf to attack Iran. And then we learned that a few months later that very thing happened, and we didn't learn for over a year and a half that it had in New Yorker magazine, Cy Hirsch, that they were already painting up patrol boats to have Navy SEALs drive up and stage an attack on one of our ships. And then we learned they even tried it with a radio and some blue boats, probably actually implemented it, but the blue boats turned away. I mean, we're dealing with very dangerous people, very, very dangerous people who could do anything. And the very same people that ran Bush and Cheney are running Obama right now.
Well, Obama just reads the teleprompter. If you read the background into Obama, you know that he's just an empty vassal. He didn't even write his own book. But I mean, yeah, the level of evil makes China and Russia look like the good guys. I mean, that's how bad it's got. And we have to go to Russian and Chinese state media at least to get, half the story, because the US corporate media barely gives you 1%. So that's the level that it's got to. And now, I mean, the Federal Reserve comes in and comes to the rescue and saves Europe. What did they do? The CNBC admits they just went in. They didn't print the money. They typed it into a screen using a keyboard and gave dollars to Europe. They bled the dollar to keep the euro on life support for another 10 days. And it's just, Ben Bernanke to the rescue once again. So it's just the level of evil and the level of denial of it is what's going to sink America. And I mean, it's already turning into a post-Soviet Union-style collapse with a record number of people on food stamps, the employment and everything. So when people say that this is the era of China and the East and the BRIC developing economies like Brazil and China and others, then we can see it unfolding right in front of us with the very actions of the Federal Reserve yesterday.
That's right. The globalists have used America, bankrupted America, never upgraded into the infrastructure, stole everything, and now we're just this husk of military power that's winding down and rotting, and the power is now transferring, and I guess in the final move, America takes over some more real estate for the globalists who have all moved to China. I mean, all of them. Maurice Strong, Ted Turner, the Rockefellers have all got houses over there. All of them. They're all over there. It's all real funny. And they've just totally destroyed our country. And the average good old boy is just beating his chest saying, murder, murder, murder brown people. Take all my rights, just murder some brown people. Parking lot, parking lot. Unbelievable escalation towards thermonuclear war. We hope it's averted. Thank you so much, Paul Watson. We'll be right back.